Is free speech still free? It sounds simple, but in today's world it's one of the most complicated questions you can ask. For centuries, free speech was hailed as the cornerstone of democracy, the beating heart of liberty. People fought, bled, and died for the right to speak without fear. And yet, here we are, arguing about whether free speech is even real anymore. Look around. On one side, people say censorship is growing. On the other, people argue that words themselves are dangerous, that speech can wound as much as weapons. Social media platforms ban, shadow ban, delete, and silence. Governments regulate, threaten, and sometimes prosecute. But here's the paradox. The very people demanding freedom of speech are often the first to silence their opponents. Hook 1. If free speech is only free when people agree with you, it isn't free at all. Let's go back to basics. Why is free speech so important? Because truth cannot emerge in silence. If people are afraid to speak, ideas rot in the dark. Free speech was never about protecting safe, polite, comfortable words. It was about protecting the words that offend, disturb, challenge, and shake us. Because only in the collision of ideas can truth be tested. And here's the irony. Every empire, every government, every generation says the same thing. We believe in free speech, but, and it's always the but that kills it. We believe in free speech, but not if it offends religion. We believe in free speech, but not if it undermines the state. We believe in free speech, but not if it hurts feelings. The excuses change, the pattern stays the same. Hook 2. History shows us that the moment you add conditions to free speech, you are no longer protecting freedom. You are protecting control. Now let's dig deeper. Why is speech under attack today in ways that feel new? Because the world has changed. For most of history, free speech meant the right to speak without being jailed by the government. But today, speech doesn't just live in the town square. It lives online, in spaces owned not by governments, but by corporations. And corporations are not democracies. They have rules, algorithms, and incentives. And those incentives are not truth. They are profit and control. Think about it. If you say something unpopular, the algorithm buries you. If you cross invisible lines, your account disappears. If you speak the wrong opinion, you risk losing not only a platform, but also a job, friends, and reputation. This is what some call soft censorship. Nobody sends you to prison, but you are silenced all the same. Hook 3. What good is a right on paper if you were punished in practice for using it? But let's be fair, free speech has always been messy. Words are powerful. They can inspire revolutions, but they can also incite violence. They can heal, but they can also wound. And so the question arises, where do we draw the line? Should hate speech be free speech? Should lies be protected? Should dangerous ideas be allowed? Here's the paradox again. If you censor lies, you also give someone the power to decide what counts as truth. If you censor hate, you give someone the power to decide what counts as hate. And throughout history, those powers are always abused. The same tools used to silence dangerous voices are eventually used to silence dissent. Hook 4. When you hand someone the power to silence, don't be surprised when they use it on you. Let's explore the psychology behind it. Why are people so eager to silence others? Because freedom is scary. Hearing ideas you hate is uncomfortable. Listening to people you believe are wrong feels dangerous. And yet, comfort was never the goal of free speech. Truth was. A society obsessed with comfort will always trade freedom for safety. And once you make that trade, you lose both. But here's where it gets personal. Free speech is not just a political issue, it's a human issue. In your own life, how often do you censor yourself? How often do you bite your tongue because you're afraid of conflict, afraid of losing approval, afraid of standing alone? The death of free speech doesn't begin in governments or platforms. It begins in souls that no longer dare to speak. Hook 5. The greatest censorship is not what they do to you, it's what you do to yourself. Now let's look at the consequences. What happens when free speech dies? Ideas go underground, distrust grows. People no longer believe official narratives. They seek alternatives, often in darker corners of the internet, where conspiracy thrives unchecked. When speech is censored, truth doesn't disappear. It mutates. And the society that silences dissent ends up drowning in suspicion. And what happens to individuals? Without free speech, growth stops. You can't learn if you never hear anything you disagree with. You can't grow if you never face challenge. You become fragile, thin-skinned, incapable of dialogue. And the society that breeds fragility is a society preparing itself for collapse. Hook 6. The death of free speech is not only the death of liberty, it is the death of resilience. But here's the good news. Free speech can be revived. It doesn't start in laws or platforms. It starts in you. It starts with courage. The courage to listen to what offends you. The courage to speak what you believe, even when it costs you. The courage to defend the right of your opponent to speak, even when you think they are dead wrong. That is the true test of free speech. Not when you defend your own voice, but when you defend the voice you hate. And here's the paradox again. Only when everyone speaks freely can truth rise above lies. Free speech is fragile, but it is not dead. It is tested in every generation, and it is tested now more than ever. The question is simple. Will you protect it, or will you surrender it for comfort? Will you trade your freedom for safety, or will you risk discomfort for truth? Because if free speech dies, it won't be because tyrants took it from us. It will be because we gave it away. Hook 7. Silence is not safety. Silence is surrender. So, is free speech still free? On paper maybe, but in practice, only if we fight for it. Only if we refuse to cancel, refuse to censor, refuse to be fragile. Only if we choose courage over comfort, truth over tribe, and freedom over fear. And that is the choice before us now.